Comparing and ordering decimals. I can compare and order decimals. So let's review from yesterday. Number 1, I want you to round to the nearest hundredth, and then I want you to practice saying that and write down how you would say it. Stop the video now so you can do that. When you are done, start the video back up. All right, let's look at what the hundredth place is. This is the 10th. This is the 100th. So I'm going to underline it. The 6 tells the 9 what to do. Well, in this case, the 9 has to go up to a 10, so that's going to round this one up. So my answer is 5, or 0.5. So how would you write that? That would be 5, let's move that down here, tenths. Because again, we don't say the point or the 0 when there's nothing in front of that. Method number 1, and we're going to use a number line. So I want you to write number line, and I want you to actually draw a number line. So I want you to draw a line on your paper. I want you to put a 0 here. Then I want you to do 10 little dashes. So beware, 1 goes with the 0, but this would actually be the first dash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What you need to realize is that if it's broken into 10 from 0 to 1, there's tenths places in there. There's also between this first 0.1, that can be broken into 10 little places, which would be your hundredths. And then this one can. So this would be 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. We don't say 0.10 because then that's your whole number 1. So when you look at this, the first number tells you where to start, and then this tells you how many tenths to go over. So in this case, I'm starting at 0 and moving it over 3 tenths. So that's where 0.3 would be. So let's make a dot there, and then you can write 0.3. 0.26. Now this is a little trickier. The first number tells you where to start. Then we have to go 2 tenths over, but the 6 tells us to go 6 hundredths over. So let's look at this. If the 0 tells me to start at 0, I go over 2 tenths. And now remember, this is broken up into 10 more spots. So if I'm figuring about 0.5 is halfway there, 0.6 would have to be a little bit over that. So 0.26 would probably be right in here. So let's look at this next one. Starting at 0, go over 3. Now it's a little bit over because it's 0.2 over. So that might be right in there. And I'll bring this one to the bottom. So now if you're going from least to greatest, you can see which decimal is greater is 0.23. It does not have anything to do with how many numbers are in there because this one has a 0 that's really not there. So right now, I want you on your number line to find out where these 3 numbers go. Remember, the first tells us to start at 5, so I'm going to 5. Then this would be 0.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, and so on until you got up to your last one, which would be 6. So stop the video now and graph those 3 on a number line, and then check where you put them. All right, welcome back. So let's see where we put them. If we start at 5, because that's the whole number, this tells me to go 4 tenths over. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the 5 tells me it's halfway in between. So it'd be about right there. So that's where 5.45 is, or 5 and 45 hundredths. Let's do 5.7 next. That one seems pretty straightforward. So starting at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be right there. This next one's tricky because most people want to put this at 5.1, which would be right there. However, this is 5.01, so I start at 5. I'm still at 0, and I'm a little tiny bit over. So 5.01 would be right in there. Method 2, I want you to write place value. I want you to write these down. Number 1, line up decimal point places. Number 2, start left and move right until you find digits that are not the same. So let's get that written and then I'll explain. Stop the video if you need to write it down. All right, so let's look at these 3 numbers. We line up the decimal places because with technology, I can line mine up. I want you to rewrite each of the numbers, making sure these decimal places are completely lined up. Now, we start from the left and move to the right. So because the 4s are the same, they have equal value, we're done. In the 10th spot, all the zeros have the same value, so they're right now equal, they're done. So now we look at, we have a 9, 9, and 8. Well, 8 is smaller than 9, so that makes 4.089 the smallest. Because 9, again, 8 is smaller than 9, so this one has to come first. So let's get rid of it. Now let's look at the other 2. We have a 9 and a 9. They are the same. This one has a 2. This one doesn't have anything. So you need to think of it like a 0 there. What is smaller, a 0 or a 2? Well, it's a 0. So 4.09, and yes, you can write the 0 if you want, would be next, and then 4.092 would be the last. So let's have you try this one. Order them from least to greatest. Stop the video now to do that. Welcome back. Let's take a look. So if I've got to line them up just like you did. I line up my decimal places, so 3.64 and 3.46. All right, so now we got to go through them. The 3's are the same, so we can cross them off. Here we go. Here's where the differences are. We have a 0, a 6, and a 4. Well, 0 is the smallest, so 3.059 is the smallest number. That one is now gone. Now we look at these last 2. Still in the 10th place. The 4 is smaller than the 6, so 3.46 would be next. And then 3.64. You have your least to greatest. Oh, I don't know why that page came up. Let's keep going here. All right, next slide. You can do the same with these. This is the less than sign, the equal sign, the greater sign. Remember the good old days of the alligator eating the bigger number. You need to think of the teeth in there of the alligator. So if I line up my decimal spots, oops, I can't move them. If I line it up, I'd have, so zeros are the same, the 5s are the same, the 10ths are different. Again, a 4 is smaller, so we need to eat the bigger number, so it would go that way. Which way would it go now? Well, we have 3's the same, the decimal point's the same. In this case, we have a 1 and an 8 in the 10th spot. Well, the 1 is smaller, so the bigger side has to eat the 8. And now you can get started with your homework.